You're feeling insecure, and it's this out of control feeling that you're sure is affecting your relationship. You're worried that your insecurities are going to push your partner away, and this is perhaps something you know you do. I'm going to give you 5 tips that will help you identify, firstly, if your insecurity is warranted, and if not, what is the internal disconnection within you that's making you feel like this in the relationship? Make sure to stick around to the very end of the video because I'll show you how to start cultivating an authentic sense of self-worth and self-love so that you can turn around your insecurity and not push that person away that you love. If you're new to this channel, welcome. I'm Amy, and I help women who struggle with insecurity, anxiety, and low self-worth in relationships. And I teach them to heal their past and connect to their true, authentic self so they can create the healthy, secure, and loving relationship they desire. And if you want more content on this topic, please subscribe to this channel, hit the bell button to be notified because I post new lessons twice a week. Before we get started, I want to let you know that a few spots have opened up for the free one-to-one consult with me for the Love by Design program. So make sure you stick around to the very end of the video for the announcement on how to do that. Tip number 1, identify where your insecurity is coming from and if it's actually being provoked by a valid situation. Is your partner giving you any signs that the relationship is in danger or their feelings have changed? Have they said or done something to warrant your insecurity? Some examples of this might be they've said that they're struggling in the relationship and they're finding it harder to choose you every day. They seem to be withdrawing from the relationship. They're consistently putting in less energy or attention or care to building that relationship with you. And you seem to be ranking lower on their list of priorities, and they seem less engaged with you in your relationship. These things are going to naturally provoke insecurities in you because the health of the relationship is not solid. In this case, it's normal. It's a warning sign. You need to have a conversation with them. But what we tend to do here is we let our insecurity and anxiety bubble up and overwhelm us. We start to chase them or fix the relationship to get them back, rather than take a step back and look at whether you want to be with someone who isn't choosing you, because that is, after all, their choice and not a reflection on whether you're worthy of love or not. Now, if you need to take a step back, I have a great video in this link above that will give you a step-by-step process on how to do that from a less emotional perspective and identify if the relationship is right for you. So that's the difficulty here, right? Our insecurities are warranted and our emotions can get out of control. If you don't have a strong sense of self-worth and normally respond to rejection by chasing, keep watching this lesson because I'll show you how to strengthen your inner sense of self when you're prone to insecurity and anxiety after rejection. Tip number 2, if your partner is giving you no reason to feel insecure and you're still feeling insecure and you know that this is a past pattern of yours, that insecurity is a warning signal that there's something out of alignment within you. If you're starting to experience jealousy or paranoia or possessive behavior, if you're phone checking, you need to listen carefully to this next tip because that kind of behavior, unwarranted, will break down your bond with your partner. So be honest with yourself. Are you needing your partner to give you your sense of self-worth? Are you used to relationships where there's a lot of dependency or an expectation that you do everything together, or there's this kind of melding of identities in the relationship? This is super common when we have a tendency towards something called codependency. Now, codependency by definition is when you need another person's approval or attention to feel worthy. And if you experience this, you most likely grew up with a codependent relationship with a caregiver, and you actually think this is normal. Now, it's common, but it's actually not healthy to rely too much on others for our own sense of worth. And because it's something we've learned, we can unlearn it and put in place a healthy internal structure of self-worth and self-love that will give you those things in a healthy way that doesn't require getting them from other people or from food or drugs or alcohol. Now, stick around because I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And I want to quickly mention that if your insecurity is at the level that you're experiencing anxiety, and that anxiety tends to show up the worst in relationships, I want you to take a look at my video on attachment styles and the underlying processes that create anxiety and avoidance in relationships. Because when anxiety is really specific to relationships, there are some very deep subconscious childhood processes at play, and you will really benefit from looking into those old beliefs and healing them, which I show you how to do in that video. Tip number 3, learn how to cultivate interdependency in your relationship. This is a dynamic where both you and your partner maintain separate identities and you come together to sharing quality time. You contribute equally to the relationship and its growth, and you enjoy shared interests and hobbies, but you don't require them to enmesh with you, to take on everything you do, or take on your beliefs and attitudes and eating patterns in order for you to feel secure. So that would look like the both of you maintaining your identities that make you feel whole as individuals, and knowing specifically what you both share as a couple and enjoying that. And then you also respect and appreciate each other's differences, which bring really healthy energy and polarity into a relationship. It's a bit like you're both planets and you choose to orbit around each other. You're both individual, separate entities, and you choose to orbit because you enjoy each other's company. You lift each other up and you don't take away from each other's identity or eat away at parts of who you are. If you know that this is going to be difficult for you to do, or you're used to being in relationships where you lose your identity or sense of self, listen up to tip 4, which is cultivate your self-worth. If you aren't taking care of yourself physically and mentally, and you didn't do this when you were single either, and so in your relationship you're even less inclined to do it because you're wanting your partner to give you your worth, you need to start with this step first. Before you bring any of this to your relationship, our inner world and our relationship to our inner world will be directly reflected back to us in relationships. If we don't like ourselves and we treat ourselves badly, we're going to project that onto our partner and treat them badly, which they don't deserve. Nor do you deserve to treat yourself that way. So this really is a massive topic, and please let me know in the comments below if you'd like more of a complete lesson on this. But the first step to cultivating your self-worth is to get into relationship with yourself, to stop what you're doing and start listening, start meditating, start noticing the internal dialogue that's running inside you. When we have insecurity, usually that internal dialogue is pretty brutal because we haven't yet learned how to love ourselves and appreciate ourselves for our talents and gifts, which involves us having an internal dialogue and language of gratitude and compassion, kindness, and self-love. Once you start to give space to that internal voice, start looking at ways you can really lift yourself up and do things that you enjoy on your own. A quick way to do this is to recall the things you loved to do when you were a kid. Playing tennis, dancing, and singing are mine. Whatever it might be, make time to do those things you used to love. Write a list in the evenings of the things you appreciated about yourself that you did to contribute to your sense of self-worth and your healthy self-respect that day. You made your bed, you brushed your teeth, you had a nourishing meal, whatever it might be, just write them down and reinforce that to yourself. Meditation, journaling, having fun, and playful activities all have an incremental effect on improving our internal dialogue. And it's a discipline. You've got to ignore that lazy, self-deprecating part inside you and commit to one act of self-love every day. Tip number 5 is to empower your personal reality, which is what makes up your personality. This is your perspective, how you see the world, which again, like relationships, is a mirror for how we see ourselves. If you're feeling insecure, chances are you've been engaging in thoughts of lack or scarcity or comparison, like your body doesn't look a certain way like theirs does, or you don't have the things in your life that you want to have yet. These little mental habits are like viruses in the brain. They're sneaky, and we often think them without even realizing it because it's become a habit. In this case, we really need to stand guard at the door of our mind and notice when a thought pops up that it's trying to make us feel really bad, and then really consciously reject it or just let it pass without attaching to it or identifying with it. Again, we can reprogram our thought patterns and empower our reality by choosing to see the things that we can be really grateful for and cultivating this glass half full mentality. Because the more times we practice this skill of conscious gratitude, the stronger the muscle gets. And over weeks and months, you'll notice you're less inclined to skip back into scarcity or a comparative mindset. We can literally shift our perspective on the world by practicing gratitude every day, just listing 3 simple things in the moment of what you're grateful for. And I'm going to give you a moment to do that right now. We always have something to be grateful for, and it is actually our reality, and it has a mirror effect on how we see ourselves. It makes it easier for us to cultivate our self-worth, which I talked about in tip 4. So you've got 5 tips to start turning around your insecurity, particularly in your relationships. And if you want to know more about how to feel secure in your relationship and heal any potential insecurities or codependencies you think you might have, I want you to join me in my free training to learn the exact 3-step process on how to go from anxious and insecure to secure in your relationships. And you can sign up for the webinar and join me there in the description below. You can also interact with me on a more personal level in my free Facebook group. And if you'd like to take up on the free one-to-one strategy session with me for our group program, you can do all of that in the links below. And please, if you have any questions or any comments about the tips I shared with you today, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And if you found this video helpful and valuable, click the thumbs up button to really help my channel out, and subscribe for more content if you like this one, because I post lessons twice a week. In the meantime, here are some great next step videos for you to watch so you can move one step closer to an incredible relationship with yourself and the partner you desire. And for now, I will see you in the next lesson.